Hey, it's Josh from 100 North Outdoors. In this video, we're answering some questions about winter crappie fishing. Like, how long does it really take to get a bite? What happens when the water temperatures drop? And how to find schools of fish like these. We'll wrap it up with a fish recipe you won't want to miss, so stick around, it's gonna be fun. Oh boy, we're back, and it is cold. You see the snow behind me? My goodness. Continuing on our winter adventure. Where do the fish go when the water gets cold? That's what I want to know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe! Oh man, dude, we're already looking at fish in this little bay here. Not a lot of lessons to learn about that. I think I'm already looking at crappie. Wow. I'm back with my 24th ounce jig head and my gulp minnow. If I feel like that chartreuse is actually holding me out of fish, then maybe I'll switch to a white head for a slightly more natural presentation. But in general, that gulp scent is killer, and I really like fishing that watermelon pearl. Seems to imitate small bait fish in my local waters here in Indiana extremely well. I'm seemingly on fish already, so not a lot of looking required, but something I want to work on today is identifying the pattern. Where do these fish want to hang out? Currently, one is hanging out directly underneath the boat. Hey guys, it's Future Josh, and I just want to hop in here to show you guys how long these winter bites can really take. So, Future Josh, can you cue me up a timer? Can do, other Future Josh. And other Future Josh, can you give me some music? Already on it, thanks. Okay, so I cast it out there, and I'm leaving my bail open for it to sink. And I'm giving it a really slow retrieve. Just bringing it slowly over the fish's head. That jig is probably moving through the water about 5 feet down. Letting it sink a little bit deeper because the fish are a little bit lower in this case. Still sinking. Very small movements. I just don't want you to get discouraged when it transitions to this winter bite and it starts taking a lot longer. You can still catch fish. They will still bite. It just looks a little different. So wary of a bite in winter. Oh my goodness, do you see that? Didn't even set the hook on him. There he is. All right, found him. Now on this lake, it's a 9-inch minimum. They're doing some restocking. And this guy is like a piece of paper. He might be 9 inches, but he's pretty thin, so we're gonna leave him alone. But there we go, first crappie of the day. Alrighty, see you, buddy. I used to really think when you jig fished that you wanted to give your rod a lot of twitches. Like, I really thought that the right way to work a jig was, you know, you cast it out there and you let it sink, and then you'd be sitting here doing these really aggressive pops, you know, because especially those fluke style ends don't have a lot of action just in and of themselves. And I used to really think what you needed to do was just impart a ton of action. But man, especially when you're fishing for crappie, and I would say this is true for all seasons, not just winter. When you're fishing for crappie, those fish do not want that thing moving a lot. Think about a crappie being like the laziest fish you ever met. They want that thing hanging right above their heads, basically touching their nose. They don't want to chase it. I mean, there are exceptions, right? Like some will, but in general, high percentage of my bites are working that jig as slowly as possible. But there are a decent number of fish hanging out in here just due to the warmth of that boat ramp. So we're gonna keep trolling around and looking. It's also possible that because the prevailing wind all day yesterday was blowing into this boat ramp, that it has congregated some fish like I thought that it might. Even though the wind is now pushing the other way, it shifted overnight. Water temps are 40.5 in this bay, so we're getting very close if we haven't already had some fall turnover. And for those of you who might not know, because I didn't know, fall turnover in the water is when the water finally all reaches roughly a uniform temperature. So water is at its densest when it's at 39.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh boy, there's some fish. And so in the summer, when the surface temperature of the water is getting all heated up, it becomes less dense And as it becomes less dense, it becomes harder and harder for it to mix with the water that's lower, that's deeper down and colder. That deeper water, for a while in the summer, has a hard time getting oxygen because as rain and wind blows across the surface water gets oxygenated, and then it can't mix with the deeper, colder water, and so you end up with kind of a dead zone, or and anything below the thermocline. You've probably heard that term before. The thermocline is kind of the cutoff between breathable water for the fish and unbreathable water. As the fall and winter happens, cold water that's oxygenated at the top descends down to the bottom and oxygenates more of the lake, which spreads out the fish even more. So all those fish that were suspended, right at the thermocline, which may be set up at 15 to 20 feet in the middle of summer, now can go deeper where the water temperatures are a little bit more stable, or they might still be higher up in the water column. It just spreads out the fish some more. We're making a little move. There are fish in there, but it's not like big numbers of fish, and I want to see if we can do better. That's a little bay. We're skirting around the next point and going to the next bay. Oh my, found absolute honey moly. Holy smoke. Yeah, so this is why I left. Yeah, I was questioning if I should have left. What do you think? Should I have left when gone somewhere else? Oh my goodness. That's what you call a can't miss group right there. Yeah, let's see if we can't get some of them to bite. There were a ton of schools in this basin, but many were sitting in a depth of about 30 feet, just glued to the bottom. I spent some time trolling the area looking for some shallower groups that would be a little easier to target, and found one sitting on a rock pile in about 15 feet of water. Oh my goodness, finally. Oh my goodness, did we ever work for that? It is another school of crappie. Oh, that one's better. Yeah, oh yeah, we're 10 inches. We'll take him. Look at that, first keeper. He's not huge, but I think we're going for quantity. I finally found some fish in some shallower water, and I think that's gonna make all the difference to our ability to succeed here. There are a lot of fish deep, and maybe there's bigger fish deep, but the fish are not only deep. I'm looking at a school of 50 fish right now, sitting in 15 feet of water. Definitely within casting range of the bank. There we go. See? Oops. There we go. When you're doing this, you just got to do your best to position yourself with the wind. I have found that with the trolling motor on the back here, it is easier for me to stay on fish if I put the back of the boat to the wind instead of the front of the boat to the wind, and just have it on a very slow reversing speed. And I'm sure if you had your trolling motor on the front of your boat, you're doing the exact same thing, but just forward instead of reversing. Okay, so now I'm back on the school. They're pretty close. Gonna save my cast for when I feel like I'm really on them. There we go. Yep, there we go. We're on them now, man. Oh, that one's a yellow bass. There's a little mixed bag in here. All right, he is so tensed up. He does not want me to. There we go. What are you? Ooh, yes. Oh, he's a dink. That's not gonna make the team. Another little guy. Oops. There you go. Yep, it is a lot of fish right there. He feels decent. We'll see. Decent might have been a stretch. Not gonna make it. He might be 9, but he's real thin. I'm not gonna keep him. Catching crappies in the snow. What a treat. Basically what I'm doing, because I don't have spot lock, but I do have live scope, is I just need to be really diligent about when I cast, right? So it's like, there is a group of fish, but it's really hard to stay on them in all this wind and stuff. So I just keep looking, keep looking, keep looking. Oh, there they are. Give it a cast. I'm already off them again, but they're over there. Get back over to them. There we go. Another dink crappie in the snow. Golly sakes, they are still fun. Even in all of this cold, they are fun. So 2 other little tips I'll give you about crappie fishing. Number 1, when they bite, it feels like almost nothing. That was just like a tiny little dink, but sometimes it just feels like, oh, there's some extra weight on your line. They basically just slurp it. They don't really strike it. The other thing is it's really easy to pull it out of their mouths. They got really delicate little mouths. I don't really set the hook on crappie. I just reel up into them. So like you're reeling along nice and gentle. You feel that added weight and you just kind of lift up and slowly and speed up your reeling a little bit. You don't want a Bassmaster Classic these crappie, you'll just pull your jig right out. I think we're gonna get out of here. It's starting to really snow now. I would have liked to catch a couple more, but I am just too cold. That is the exact same technique I used in the summer to catch these fish. Pretty much same exact speed. I think in the warmer water, their metabolism is a little higher, a little easier to get them to commit to the bite. Absolutely still catchable. The really cool thing in the winter is the groups of fish that I saw today. In other times of the year, I'm pretty used to seeing groups of like 10 fish, 5-10 fish and casting at them. Instead, I was seeing groups of like 50 fish or maybe even more. I don't know, like there were some times where it wasn't bait fish, it was definitely panfish grouped together based on the size of the mark, but they just made a massive blob across my whole screen. We were fishing kind of a basin where the fish had access to deeper water and the fish were sitting anywhere. There were schools of fish anywhere from about 30 feet to 15 feet. And some of those fish were suspended even up to 5 feet of water. So huge vertical range for where these fish might be sitting, but same general zone. They were on kind of that northwest bank. So the sun's rising in the east and hitting that west bank first. And in the winter, right, in the northern hemisphere, that sun is a little bit lower, so it's hitting that northern side. So south-facing banks on the west side of the lake tend to be the warmer side, so that's where I went to go look. We definitely found a lot of fish. A lot more fish than I actually ended up catching. That's okay. This is my first time on the lake to be successful, to catch the target species, just to catch a few, and in the short amount of time that I had today is more than enough for me. All right, content creator, what are we doing over here?
I'm making a tree skirt.
Oh wait, hold on, let me show the internet what happened. Oh man, disaster has befallen our beautiful tree. It's split in the tree stand that like screws into the tree. It split the tree. I'm currently binding it back together with construction grade adhesive. We'll see if that works. I have no idea if it will. Otherwise, this tree's just gonna be leaning in our corner because I ain't buying another one. All right.
I'm making a tree skirt.
Okay, what do you need help with?
I just need you to take an overhead shot of me cutting these strips.
Wow, I am just an expert videographer, can you tell? She needed the pro. We're back in the kitchen. Gonna cook up these fillets. Already got them cut up here. And I think what we're gonna do is something a little different. Not gonna fry them. Instead, we're gonna adapt a salmon recipe to these crappie. We're gonna give them a little dunk in some teriyaki. Just picked this up from Kroger. We're gonna give them a cook. We're gonna put them over some rice with some avocado, with some crispy fried onions, and some furikake. I always get so self-conscious when I try to say words like that. Furikake. Furikake. Here we go. We'll give it a little salt. And we're gonna give it some teriyaki. Whoa! Take that and throw that down on the pan. Yeah. My rice is done. Yay. Oh yeah, this is not gonna take long. Those are almost cooked already. Flipper. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Money. Okay. All right, we got it on a bed of rice in a container that we can put in the oven. We're gonna give it another little drizz. And we're going into the oven on broil. for a couple minutes, probably like 2 minutes. We're gonna do a little avocado. If only I was good at plating, my thumbnails would really be so much better, you know? Some onion, okay. And one of my favorites, sriracha mayo. All right, there it is. It smells really good. Oh yeah. So good. Pretty good way to get 2 crappie to stretch into a whole, actually filling meal. Hey, look at her sweatshirt, chat. Pretty good.
It's better with salmon because salmon has more bite to it.
Yes. Crappie
For
just
the
falls apart.
texture purpose, but taste-wise, 10-10.
Yeah. That's what you need after a cold morning of fishing. Getting snowed on, getting soaked is a good warm fish meal. I had fun this morning. There were so many fish that I could not reach with the gear that I brought. And the next time I go and do that, if I'm fishing for crappie, I'm going to hopefully go on a day with a little less wind. And secondly, bring with me things like rattle traps or little spoons or dinner bells or whatever with a little bit more weight that are a similar size and presentation as my jig, but just are heavier and they're gonna sink harder and get down there quicker. It was just so hard to present my jig at 30 feet on these crappie's head. There's a ton of them, but they're in this small ball. You're up here on the surface of the water and they're way down here, and you cast your line down and your boat's drifting away and your jig is drifting away. And it's really hard to land it right on their heads if you can't keep your boat perfectly still, or you don't have something with a little bit more sink that can get down to them. So I'm glad I could find some shallower fish. Moving off the deeper fish was ultimately what made me successful today, but there were a lot more fish, higher quantities of fish, deeper. When I go back, I'm gonna come back with a little bit of different gear because I'd really like to target those deeper fish. I bet there's bigger ones down there. I think the lesson I'm learning just over and over again is winter fishing is a lot of fun and you can totally catch fish in the winter. Is the bite a little bit slower? Yes. Do you have to convince the fish to eat a little bit more? Yes. But at least as far as crappie are concerned, they are bunched in huge groups that are hard to miss. And if you drop a jig into 100 fish, sure, are they less likely to bite? But there's a lot more fish that I was presenting my jig to at a time, which ultimately still makes you successful. I hope you've enjoyed watching as much as I'm enjoying eating this meal right now, and we'll see you in the next video.